Bulat! Let's get to it. My name's Eric Escalante. I've been collecting knives for maybe the better part of 10 years or so. To what extent? An embarrassing one. In total, that's about 70 knives, and easily we're well past four figures in cost. Thousands. But it does beg the question, right? After having all these knives for so long, do I actually have anything to say about them? I think I do. And I want to start with Bulat. The biggest thing about Bulat was the marketing campaign. Back in 2016, it spoke to me, okay? They were talking about enhancing your kitchen, but also not necessarily breaking the bank. Your options were either going to a big box store and getting a not-so-good knife, or paying a hefty premium to go to a specialty retailer. They were saying, hey, we'll meet you in the middle, and we'll actually cut out the middleman. We'll sell directly to you. The next part was how they talked about building the knife, taking the best parts of a French blade, a Japanese blade, and the German blade to find something that somehow married them all together. Honestly, that marketing campaign, it left a mark on me. It etched itself into my brain, but there's an issue. It wasn't necessarily worth the wait. Now, I didn't get the knife during the crowdfunding campaign. I think it was going for somewhere around $80. That probably would have been a great price for it. I got my hands on it much later, and it was lacking. Out of the box, the sharpness was not there. We're talking knives in this price point are sharp enough out of the box, you can lay a piece of paper standing up and slice right through them. This was not one of those knives. My biggest gripe is the handle. It feels almost dehydrated, almost a little bit brittle even. But on top of that, it's coarse. You can feel the wood fibers almost like it's dehydrated. Now, does this impact cutting performance? It does not. But when you have it in your hand for prolonged periods of time, you can't help but notice. Again, maybe it's a personal taste thing, but I do feel that other knives have wooden handles that go well beyond what Bulat has. Now, at $120, you tend to get some creature comforts. You pay for those smaller details. I think this knife lacks in that department. I would have hoped for some rounding on the spine of the blade, just to make it a little bit more comfortable to hold for longer periods of time. When you have blades that have that 90-degree angle edge, it can kind of dig into your skin a little bit. It can be uncomfortable when you're cutting for long periods of time. Now, all of those are the finer details, right? I can forgive a coarse handle. The main question is, how does it cut? I can say honestly, this blade does indeed cut. It does indeed cut well, but at $120, you can find knives that cut better than the Bulat. Now, I did a cut test with this knife, and in full transparency, it's been a while. I sharpened the knife before I started the cut test. I worked with a red bell pepper, an onion, and of course a carrot. The Bulat did well. It was able to go through the onion easily enough, perfect dice, and then with the red bell pepper, again, no complaints here. It did the job. Now, with the carrot, it tends to split things. It's not always a clean cut. You'll notice some jaggedness. The knife acts more like a wedge when it gets stuck into the carrot, and then it forces it apart, as opposed to actually cleanly cutting through. So like I said, does it cut? Yes, it does the job. But the issue is, you can also spend that $120 on something that does the job better. Look at Global, look at Tojiro, even the Victorinox line. All these knives do a great job of slicing through the food. For example, the Tojiro, I have a Santoku. I love the Santoku knife. It slices through everything. It has an extremely sharp edge. It holds it very well. Food practically falls off. It is a great knife to use when cutting produce. Using the Tojiro is a great experience, and it's cheaper than a Bulat knife. For the Global knife, it has a comparable price point to the Bulat, but you also get a wow factor with its very unique and distinct designs. Now, the Bulat knife is made with VG10 steel. It's a type of steel that can take an edge, hold an edge, and will allow you to sharpen it. But this knife isn't going to be the one that I point to when people ask me for an example of a VG10 steel knife. I'd more rather have them look at the Tojiro or have them look at Shun. I just want to close out on this. This is a matter of personal taste. If you like the knife, that's wonderful. If you don't like the knife, that's okay too. These were my thoughts, these were my experiences. You can make of them what you will. Now, if you have a knife that you would recommend somebody in that $120 price range, let me know. Tell me in the comments below. Appreciate it.